It was the land that we liked. We knew we could do things with the land. It had a brook going through the middle of it. It had a pond, and we knew we could do things with it. So that's how we ended up here, and that was 21 years ago. I used to plant trees for the paper companies, and then I decided, well, shoot, I should plant some trees here. So I started planting some Christmas trees, and we also have sugar maples planted, and I also have black walnuts planted too. And then one thing led to another, and I helped my neighbors with the maple sugaring. That's how I started in that. Then I decided, well, we could do this, so we started making maple syrup for ourselves. And now we have 2,200 taps, and we make between 500 and 600 gallons of syrup a year. With the Christmas trees, we have 14,000 of the Christmas trees in the ground now. Things got out of hand a little bit, okay? We don't work a straight job. We earn our living with the brooms, the maple syrup, and the Christmas trees. Justamere Tree Farm came about. That's an interesting story. We bought a old, I think it was a 1953 Dodge 2-ton truck, and real faded on the side of it had Justamere Farm on it, okay? And you could just barely read it. And Marion always liked that name. And of course, once we started with the Christmas trees and the maple syrup and we needed a name, we just said, well, Justamere Tree Farm rather than Justamere Farm. And that's how that name evolved. Wish I could say we thought of it ourselves, but we didn't. The more I do with the brooms, the more fascinated I am with them, okay? I wouldn't want to do much more broom making than what I do at the present time because I really enjoy it. And if I made many more than what I make now, the enjoyment could be gone out of it. It would get too tedious. Probably about 18 years ago, I made my first broom, and that was strictly as a hobby. And for a number of years, I just made them for fun, and I gave some for gifts, and we had a whole bunch of brooms. And a friend of mine who lives up in Ashfield, he saw the brooms one day hanging in the barn here, and he said, you know, you ought to do a craft fair with those. And I did, and people bought the brooms. The number of brooms I make in a year is a really common question. And I tell you, I wish I had time to count because I have no clue. I really don't have that much of an idea. You can't buy a good broom now. You can't. The brooms, you cannot buy a good broom in the store. You can buy a cheap broom, okay, you know, very inexpensive, but it's not a good broom. It's not that important to me to know, well, geez, I made 1,000 brooms this year. You know, that doesn't mean that much to me. I make what I need to make. One of the things that I really like about broom making is it's very low tech, okay? The machinery is simple, okay? Some of which is old, some of which I made, and it's quiet. I just walk out my house in January or any other time of year. Rainy days, I'm in here a lot on rainy days. A lot of times I'll listen to a book on tape, music, a lot of public radio stations. So it can be real nice, but after 8 hours it can get a little tiresome too. Now I'm just starting the weaving process right here. This is what we call the weaving process. Okay, so I went around the broom. I got all the weavers held in place. Okay, like I said, they're pliable. Now I start the weaving process. Sometimes when we get visitors out here, and they tell us, oh, it's gorgeous, it's so nice, it's beautiful, I'd love to live like this. Well, living this far out, and you know, a lot of people come here thinking they can live this far out, and they find out that driving to work in the wintertime is no fun at all, and it's not for them. It's not for everybody. Just so happens that we really like it here.
Living here, really, you end up, I think you actually are working more, but we're working for ourselves, so that's the big difference, and we love being here.
And when you're on a farm, you're a slave to the farm. It owns you, okay? No matter how much product you sell, no matter how much money you make, you can always get something else for the farm, another piece of equipment. You know, there's always something. Out of any step of the broom making, this is probably the most satisfying. It's fun, it goes quick, and you're making the finished product. When you get done here, All you have to do is trim the end of the broom, and the broom is completed. I like something that works well and that's functional. These brooms are both. They work well, they look nice, and they're functional. And so I get some enjoyment out of doing that.